Welcome or welcome back. It's your curious European friend here, and today we're looking into the Whisky War between Canada and Denmark and whether it really can be called a war or not. I've seen the Whisky War come across a few times now, and it's been on my list to react to for quite some time. So it's been long awaited for me, and yeah, I've been wanting to react to this because I saw you guys commented sometimes, and it popped up in another video that I reacted to. So today is the day. Let's see what this war is about, or was about.
Have you ever heard about the war between Canada and Denmark? This conflict is better known as the Whisky War, or the Liquor War. However, it cannot be called a war in the traditional sense. Let's find out what happened and why it has such a strange name. The reason for this conflict was this tiny piece of land called Hans Island. It's 1290 meters long and 1199 meters wide. This uninhabited island looks more like a rock, but it created a whole history of the world-famous conflict between Canada and Denmark that lasted almost 50 years.
50 years?
The first question that might come up is, what do these two countries, about 4,000 kilometers apart, have in common with this island? First, let's have a look at Greenland. Greenland is the largest island in the world, mostly covered by glaciers, with the extreme Arctic climate. In 1953, Greenland was redefined as a district of the Kingdom of Denmark, which resulted in the creation of a common border with Canada. And as it turned out, the border passed in the middle of Hans Island. The island is exactly 18 kilometers away from both Canada and Denmark, allowing both countries to claim the land under international law.
That's kind of insane that it's exactly 18 kilometers away from both. Like, you can't make this up. But why? Like, I'm not too familiar with the history of this and all, but yeah, why was Greenland suddenly like a part or a territory, or I don't know what he called it, of Denmark? Because Denmark is still kind of a little further away, so I don't know really what's behind that. So if you know, let me know in the comments.
1973 is considered to be the year of the beginning of the Whisky War. Canada and Denmark signed a treaty to demarcate the maritime border between Ellesmere Island and Greenland. The treaty deliberately left the border at Hans Island undefined, as both states claimed Hans Island as part of their territory. In 1984, something interesting happened. The Danish minister for Greenland, Tom Høyem, arrived on the island, planted the national flag, and left a bottle of schnapps along with a message something similar to, "Welcome to the Danish island." How do you think Canada reacted? Declared war and sent troops? Well, Canadian soldiers visited the island, removed the Denmark flag, planted a Canadian flag, and left a bottle of Canadian whiskey along with a note. "Welcome to Canada." This practice of leaving bottles of liquor next to the flags continued for several decades, with both countries periodically exchanging.
I wonder how they knew though when the other country had placed their flag again instead of their country's flag.
Bottles and flags as part of a light-hearted tradition. Canadian whiskey or Danish schnapps became the symbol of a whiskey war over the island. In 2005, the foreign ministers of Canada and Denmark met in New York and announced willingness to resolve the conflict, stating that a war of flags was unacceptable in the modern world. And only in 2022, the turning point was Russia's invasion of Ukraine, thus unleashing the largest war in Europe since World War II. Canada and Denmark signed an agreement to end the conflict, setting an example for other countries on how to resolve territorial disputes.
Yeah. This whole thing is kind of genius. Starting off with placing their flag and then whiskey or whatever liquor from their country, and then both just replacing it for years. Yeah, that's so hilarious and typical, and this is a good example of how you can resolve conflict. Yeah, in the end they met up. I guess they both, I don't know what they decided, if it's like half, if the left part of it, I guess, is Canada's and then the right is Denmark's. I'm not too sure yet, but like, why can't it be like this everywhere? So I love that they try to make an example of this. I don't know if other countries or leaders are really getting the message, but unfortunately, but it is a good example, and I hope they will get the message eventually.
Sends a message to the world, and also including President Putin.
What happened with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And so it's symbolic.
What do you say?
Territorial disputes.
It sends a message to the world, and also including President Putin.
What happened with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And so it's symbolic because at the time where it's happening, as we're seeing that there's an illegal and unjustifiable invasion.
Under the terms of the peace agreement, the island was divided along a north-south cleft in its center. 60% of the island went to Denmark, and the remaining 40% to Canada. And traditionally, the parties exchanged bottles of alcohol. I am confident this is the way wars should be fought in the modern world.
Yeah, I love that. Why can't this be everywhere? I love that they try to make an example of it. I hope others will follow. Seems like, yeah, as I said, they haven't quite gotten the message yet. I don't really get the whole power-hungry thing to begin with, but yeah. I don't know why these people even got the chance to be these leaders. I feel like that's where the real issue starts. Is, yeah, how these egotistical, power-hungry, manipulative people can be leaders of countries, and then going ahead and trying to take more and more and having innocent people suffer. Anyways, let's not make it too what's the word? Sad. But yeah, I love this, and I hope other countries will follow their lead eventually.